I am Jason Abraham, the Shadow Teacher 33. And in our own process, our process of awakening, our process of expansion, our process of becoming a greater version of who we are, becoming who we were called here to be, one of the obstacles of resistance, one of the big obstacles that holds us in a state we want to shift out of is our environment. A familiar, comfortable environment. This could look like a job we've been at for many years. This could be friends and acquaintances who we see in our day-to-day lives who are comfortable and familiar. This could be the place we live. But all these trappings of an environment are reinforcing the current identity, an old identity, and for us to become this greater version we're called to be, we have to transcend that environment in some way, shape, or form. And whether you know it or not, you're always manifesting something. What you have right now, even though you may not be happy with it, you've played a part in creating that. You've co-created that by either saying yes to it, consciously or unconsciously, taking action deliberately, or by reacting to the whims of those around you. We always play our part. And sometimes what happens when there's a deep dissatisfaction in the soul, a deep depression, if you will, a deep pain and suffering from what we've become, what we are residing in, sometimes I've found great tragedies start to manifest. Great crisis starts to manifest in our lives that shakes up the environment within. We're kicked out. You might get fired from a job. Some kind of other disaster may happen that forces you out. And just by the nature of that, you've got to work on a new identity because the old tie to what you were is no longer there. But I've also found that if you're very conscious, when you start to be very conscious of who you want to be, what you are becoming, and you're already taking action steps to that new version, conscious action of shifting old patterns, sometimes we're in a situation to where our current environment doesn't make sense for us to just flat out up and leave it. Doesn't make sense for us to burn everything in our world down in one fell swoop. But at the same time, we can't stay there. We can't stay in what we are. So we have to make little shifts. And again, the things we say yes to are the inspired action, the intentional changes we make. There's also things we may be saying no to. We may be needing to say no to familiar people who make demands on our time, demands that it made sense for the version of ourselves we're shifting out of to say yes to, but for our new version, it doesn't make sense to do these things just to make other people happy, so we got to say no. Maybe saying no to extra responsibility at our current job. Maybe saying no to more demands on our time from the current thing we're doing that gives us a reward in money, or maybe a reward in something else that reinforces that current safety we're in, but is essentially starving out the nourishment from what we need to water for what we're becoming. So exercising the combination of boundaries with an enlightened no, and exercising our yes with inspired action is crucial to the shifts, the many shifts and steps we take from shifting out of the old version of us to the greater, more expansive version. And again, sometimes the great paradox is the thing we're called to go to is something we're going to experience a flow state, but we're currently feeling great resistance. The synchronicities have dried up because of the demands we may have said yes to that reinforce the old version of us. So we have to maybe put a little bit more effort in to the awareness using that enlightened no and inspired yes. But over time, if we're truly committed, if we truly believe in ourselves, we truly believe in what we're called to do and called to be, eventually that resonance in who we are and what we want to reflect outside comes into harmony. And over time, a new version is created. And again, it's just a matter, are we going to do that intentionally, or are we going to do it reactively and have something of our unconscious shift us into something we don't necessarily want? But with that being said, I'm going to end this transmission, my friends. Be strong, be well, and I will see you on the other side.